Ireland is looking to build out their hydrogen economy, and the roadblocks they're facing reveal the same issues felt around the world. So what is Ireland doing to navigate through the hydrogen transition, and could the questions they're asking help others facing the same hurdles? I'll go over all of this and give my thoughts on today's Hydrogen Podcast.
So the big questions in the energy industry today are: how is hydrogen the primary driving force behind the evolution of energy? Where is capital being deployed for hydrogen projects globally? And where are the best investment opportunities for early adopters who recognize the importance of hydrogen? I will address the critical issues and give you the information you need to deploy capital. Those are the questions that will unlock the potential of hydrogen, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Paul Rodden, and welcome to the Hydrogen Podcast.
In an article in the Irish Examiner, Kate Caden writes, skills shortage is holding back Ireland's green hydrogen strategy. Hydrogen is likely to become a hot topic on the political agenda this year as an election looms and bets increase that it will take place before the March 2025 deadline. Business representative groups IBEC in the Republic and the Confederation of British Industry, or CBI, in the North jointly published a report found that there should be a, quote, all-island approach to the development of green energy, including hydrogen, to instill confidence in investors. The report, published in February, also highlighted the need for a speedy rollout of critical energy infrastructure, including hydrogen electrolyzers as well as offshore and onshore wind farms, solar PV farms, and energy storage facilities to achieve net zero targets. However, in both the North and in the Republic, developers face immense difficulties in delivering projects on time. The reasons for these delays include cumbersome planning processes, regulatory uncertainty, a lack of resources in key agencies, and lengthy judicial review challenges. The report suggests that collaboration could be, quote, helpful in unlocking the full potential of bioenergy, hydrogen, and the circular economy, especially when it comes to decarbonizing hard-to-mitigate sectors like road freight and shipping and aviation, which are essential for the island economy to thrive in. Hydrogen can be used to power heating appliances and energy generators, which can be used for heavy machinery and haulage systems. Infrastructure and grid capacity are at the forefront for investment to get the green energy sector off the ground. However, founding member of Hydrogen Ireland, Paul McCormick, said investing in skills and people should also be a priority. According to Mr. McCormick, if we look across all of Irish industry, public and private, there's a shortage of people. He says, where are the scholars that will place Ireland ahead of the hydrogen curve and maintain that? Mr. McCormick added that there's an opportunity to, quote, pivot the economy in this regard and retain people who have worked in hydrocarbon businesses, saying, we have people involved in older energy sectors and we can transition those. In addition, the need for more skilled staff on the ground developing hydrogen projects, Mr. McCormick also said more bodies are needed to solely focus on green energy policy at government level, saying the government at the minute are trying to keep all the plates spinning with the staff that they have. Mr. McCormick said the Republic, quote, needs an energy minister that's going to maintain Ireland's position in Europe's renewable energy sector, while also making the country more attractive to become a destination for development. He described the government's hydrogen plan as, quote, cautious and measured, but he added that he would like to see it accelerated in certain areas, but at a reasonable pace to prevent shocks, saying if we look at our dependence on hydrocarbons, it's not going to change overnight, and it has to be a transition. And that transition has to be managed very carefully to ensure the shocks to the system are minimized and the advantages delivered are maximized. He also says, we don't want to go down a route where we end up with greater fuel poverty in the winter by driving up prices of scarce fuel sources. For this transition to happen, though, Mr. McCormick echoed calls from IBEC and the CBI for policymakers to create an environment that is attractive to investors. He urged the Irish government to become a, quote, lighthouse of sorts to provide clear guidance and strategy for developers and investors in the green hydrogen space. Slow and uncertain development across the renewable sector, quote, doesn't allow for investors to have confidence in market growth. He also said clean energy is a high-risk investment, but clean energy without strategy is a no-go area for venture capitalists. Hydrogen has been hailed as a vital cog in the fledgling renewable energy machine, though the creation of fuel cells, which are increasingly being used by energy storage systems, but maintain a controversial topic for some green energy enthusiasts. In 2022, less than 0.1% of global hydrogen, or 0.087 million of 95 million tons, was produced through green hydrogen. This according to Corporate Europe Observatory, which obtained figures from the IEA. However, it can also be produced using hydrocarbons like methane. Global hydrogen use is increasing, but demand remains so far concentrated in traditional uses in refining and the chemical industry, and mostly met by hydrogen produced from unabated hydrocarbons. This according to a report published by the IEA last year. In addition to the green process of extracting hydrogen, there are other processes labeled as black, brown, and gray. And gray is the most common form and is generated from natural gas or methane through steam reforming. This according to the World Economic Forum. This process generates just a smaller amount of emissions than black or brown, which uses black or bituminous or brown lignite coal in the hydrogen-making process. Black or brown hydrogen is the most environmentally damaging, as both the CO2 and carbon monoxide generated during the process are not recaptured. There is also the contentious blue method. Hydrogen is labeled blue whenever the carbon generated from steam reforming is captured and stored underground through industrial carbon capture and storage, or CCS. Blue hydrogen is therefore sometimes referred to as carbon neutral, as the emissions are not dispersed in the atmosphere. However, some would argue that low carbon would be a more accurate description, as 10 to 20% of the generated carbon cannot be captured. Mr. McCormick compared green hydrogen to the, quote, energy equivalent of the Swiss Army knife in a report, which he published with Professor John Barry, titled Green Hydrogen Futures. And according to that report, by developing a robust hydrogen infrastructure and leveraging domestic resources for hydrogen production, countries and sub-national regions can enhance their energy security and reduce vulnerability to price fluctuations or supply disruptions. Also saying the full realization of the multiple economic, social, employment, energy security, and other benefits of any green hydrogen energy transition requires a state-led and coordinated, planned, and science-based strategy. Meanwhile, the strategy around green hydrogen remains opaque in the Republic, and it has been hit with major delays. For example, progress of a green energy facility off the coast of Cork continues to be stubbornly slow. In July of 2021, Cork firm EIH2 and Texan-headquartered company Zenith Energy announced plans for a green energy facility on Whiddy Island, Bantry Bay. But nothing has come to fruition as the 2030 target deadlines move closer. Okay, so an article on the trials and tribulations felt in Ireland that is being echoed in many regions worldwide. What exactly is the roadmap to build the hydrogen economy? What are the first steps? What workforce is needed? What regulatory policies should be in place? How should the varying hydrogen technologies be viewed? I.e., should we look at colors without regard to economics and go no further? Or should we look at full cycle carbon intensity, and also which of the technology options that are currently available are economically viable and will lower emissions now? And this article does a good job of addressing many of those issues. It would seem like Ireland is at least asking the right questions with Mr. McCormick regarding the use of hydrogen as a vital part of the energy transition, with the transition part given weight and not treated like a light switch. That's a very important piece of the puzzle that gets overlooked far too frequently. Also, it would seem that they are also considering the support infrastructure that needs to be in place for the hydrogen market to develop. This is something I've talked about quite a bit in recent weeks, and for good reason. Without those industries like fabricators, manufacturers, and systems engineers, projects like the Whiddy facility mentioned in this article will continue to face delays. And of special note in this piece is the critical part that government plays. The U.S. hydrogen market now knows all too well how incongruent policies can crash a fledgling economy before it has the chance to launch. This transition, as pointed out in this article, can't be rushed. The hydrogen economy is too important, as global energy consumption is growing rapidly and shows no signs of slowing down. All right, That's it for me, everyone. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a good review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. That would be a tremendous help to the show. And as always, if you ever have any feedback, you're welcome to email me directly at info@thehydrogenpodcast.com. So until next time, keep your eyes up and honor one another.
Hey, this is Paul. I hope you liked this podcast. If you did and want to hear more, I'd appreciate it if you would either subscribe to this channel on YouTube or connect with your favorite platform through my website at www.thehydrogenpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I very much appreciate it. Have a great day.